on yearly results of the European Investment Bank Group. I'm joined by the group president, Nadia Calviño, as well as by a number of vice presidents of the bank, Vice President Fayol, BEI, De Groot, and Sakiris, and a number of senior colleagues running the main departments of the bank. I'm Matteo Maggiore. I'm the head of communication of the group. We will start with introductory remarks by the president, and then we will go into questions. All the figures will be available on the website today. So without further ado, President, floor is yours.
Do I need to press anything? No, it's working. Okay. Good morning and welcome to the presentation of the EIB Group 2024 results. As you know, 2024 was also my first year as president of the EIB Group, and I'm really proud to report today on the excellent performance of the institution, which can be summarized with 3 R's. Record figures in green finance, energy, higher risk investments, and support to cohesion regions. We also doubled financing for security and defense. In parallel, we have been getting ready to support Europe's policies and priorities in this new political mandate by efficiency and our focus on impact. And thirdly, the EIB Group has become more relevant than ever as financial arm of the European Union, a key actor really at the center of all strategic discussions in Europe and globally. There's a strong momentum and a strong determination to boost Europe's competitiveness and security to ensure at the end of the day that we master our own destiny. And the EIB Group is playing its part with a proactive and ambitious approach in 2 areas: fostering market integration and mobilizing investment. So record, ready, and relevant, these 3 words can summarize our 2024 results. Let me get now into some details. We invested 89 billion euros in 2024, 90% of it inside the European Union, around 10% outside the EU, and with more than 14 billion euros invested through the European Investment Fund, which, as you know, is our subsidiary specializing in support to SMEs and startups through equity and guarantees. Our preliminary figures show that we have achieved this while remaining profitable and with a robust AAA rating, which allows us to leverage our capital and mobilize public and private investment in each and every EU country and across the world. Our number 1 priority, as you see on the screen, has been and is consolidating our role as the climate bank. We have all seen the growing cost of climate change reflected in catastrophic events like the ones recently suffered by my own country. And we've also seen that the returns of investment in this area are also increasing. Every euro invested in prevention and adaptation saves 5 to 7 euros in reconstruction and repairs. That is why the green transition has moved to a new phase. Building on statements and targets, the process is now led by new technologies and business cases. Climate and competitiveness are a winning tandem for Europe, and it is a no-brainer, really, that Europe needs to invest more in energy security to support the key sectors driving the green transition and supporting our most promising innovators developing the solutions of tomorrow. And that is why I am proud to report that for the first time, almost 60% of total group operations during 2024 were devoted to supporting the green transition. That's climate action, resilience and adaptation, as well as our energy security. Actually, as I already mentioned in my introductory words, during 2024, the EIB Group made record investments in energy. Through our support for infrastructures, grids and interconnectors, the deployment of renewables, innovative technologies such as green hydrogen, energy efficiency and storage, we estimate that our financing mobilized over 100 billion euros of additional investment for energy last year. One of the novelties of 2024 was the launch of the wind package, where we provide cross guarantees that make possible the deployment of wind power parks in Europe. And this mechanism, which can be a blueprint for further investments in clean industry, demonstrates the unique ability of the EIB Group to crowd in private capital for projects that make a difference. We're talking about the decarbonization of our industries, lower energy bills for our households, and cheaper energy for our businesses, which are essential features for Europe's competitiveness and security. During 2024, we also stepped up our support for Europe's security and defense industry, doubling annual investment to 1 billion euros. Last year, as you know, we significantly extended eligible investments in dual-use projects and technologies to include border protection, military mobility, critical infrastructures, demining and decontamination, space, cybersecurity, anti-jamming technologies, military equipment and facilities open to civilian uses, drones, seabed infrastructure protection, and of course, research. In December, the European Investment Fund signed the first deals under the new Defence Equity Facility with 2 venture capital funds. And the bank, the European Investment Bank, launched, in partnership with local banks throughout the EU, a new tailored program for small and medium-sized companies across the security and defence supply chain. We are currently conducting the market test to assess whether further changes to our eligibility rules are needed. We also signed new agreements with the NATO Innovation Fund and the European Defence Agency that will help us find suitable projects at European level and increase our impact. And let me already signal that we plan to again double investment in security and defence in 2025, bringing it to a 2 billion euro record high. And I can also share with you that we are already looking closely at a pipeline of 14 concrete projects expected for approval in the coming months. These projects will be in areas such as aerospace, cybersecurity, and quantum technologies, as well as civil protection. 2 final records to highlight from 2024. Last year, the EIB Group hit a record in higher risk operations, with 8 billion euros invested in equity and quasi-equity to mobilize 110 billion euros to support Europe's innovators. We're talking about health tech, advanced therapies against cancer and microbial resistance, green tech, deep tech, developing new materials for housing and industry. Much of this is channeled through the European Investment Fund that I already referred to. Actually, during 2024, the fund also made great progress in the development and deployment of the European Tech Champions Initiative. As you probably know, this initiative was launched barely 2 years ago, and it has already invested into 8 scale-up funds, financing 18 innovative startup companies to grow their business. And we expect that the 3 billion euros that have been initially allocated to this initiative will be fully invested in the course of the current year, in 2025. That's barely, as I was saying, 2 years after the launch of the initiative. Last record, the EIB Group signed 38 billion euros for projects in cohesion and transition regions, bringing opportunity where talent is in each and every region of the EU. And behind these impressive figures, there are projects that make a difference. Let me share with you the snapshot of some of the flagship operations the EIB Group signed last year in the EU. You can see in the map on the screen, support to Europe's wind industry. I already mentioned the wind package. That's a 5 billion euro guarantee package throughout the whole EU. Earth observation satellites for defense and civilian use in Poland. Decarbonizing short-haul aviation with small electric planes in Germany. A battery gigafactory in Dunkirk, France. Critical raw materials projects such as lithium production in Finland. Treating health disorders like Parkinson's disease with brain stimulation technology in Spain. Affordable housing in Cyprus. Recovery after the earthquake in Ischia, Italy. offshore wind in Denmark to provide enough green electricity for more than 1 million Danish households. 5G network connectivity across Sweden, electric trains in Lithuania, and the world's first zero-emission star factory in Romania, just to mention a few of the flagship investments in 2024. Now, moving beyond our borders, around 10% of our investments, I already said this, are outside the EU, contributing to a stronger Europe in a more peaceful, more stable, more prosperous and sustainable world. So in full alignment with Europe's policies and priorities, we have contributed last year to reinforcing Europe's strategic alliances and partnerships with a strong focus in our neighborhood. Our top priority was and continues to be support to Ukraine, with more than 2.2 billion euros already disbursed since the start of the war and more to come. Let me give you a sense of the impact of some of the investments that we made there last year. 9,000 residents in the city of Bucha are getting clean water. 5 EIB-supported schools opened. A children's infectious disease hospital department opened. 6 Ukrainian cities have new buses and trams financed by the EIB. Our 600 million euro Ukraine energy rescue plan is helping safeguard Ukraine's energy resilience in the course of the winter. Our support to the private sector has allowed Ukrainian banks to continue lending to the real economy, and also European companies are exporting to Ukraine thanks to the oversubscribed 300 million euro export credit guarantee that we have launched with the national export credit agencies. Very important activity in Ukraine last year. But besides Ukraine, we signed 128 projects last year outside the EU. Some examples are shown on the screen in front of you. In the Western Balkans, new railways in Montenegro. Financing for the main water conveyor between Aqaba and Amman in Jordan. Primary health investments and clean cooking devices across Africa. The urban rail in Bangalore, that's one of the 6 Indian cities where we support transport. In Barbados, the first ever debt for climate conversion for water infrastructures. We supported the delivery of over 650 million doses of polio vaccines to children around the world. We financed the energy interconnector between Ecuador and Peru to help expand and improve the reliability of electricity supply. In Cambodia, we are supporting sustainable agriculture. In Kiribati, in the Pacific, we're working with partners to build a new seaport. This is a small island state at the forefront of climate change. Just yesterday, we were meeting in Luxembourg the Prime Minister of Bhutan that was signaling the very important projects that we are also financing in this country. So a very important year for us in terms of operations outside the EU also. As I said, during 2024, we have also geared up the institutions so as to be ready for the new mandate. In my first year as president of the EIB Group, I visited the 27 member states, engaging with governments, local authorities, businesses, listening to citizens and civil partners to know what they were expecting from the EIB and what they're expecting from Europe. And this active engagement helped us to frame our strategic roadmap, built around 8 co-priorities endorsed by the EU member states, our shareholders. And we are on track to raise in the spring of this year the outdated limit on the EIB Group's investments, also supported by our shareholders. We have also made good progress in simplification and reduction of red tape, so that 40% of all projects now go through a simplified process, which involves much lower procedural burden and a shorter time to market. And we have also improved our governance, promoting transparency, accountability, integrity, and well-being in the workplace. This week, we published the call for candidates for an EIB ombudsperson, one of the measures we had agreed with our staff representatives to set in motion to improve the working environment at the EIB Group. So breaking records, getting ready, and becoming even more relevant. Building on our very strong performance in 2024, we have all hands on deck to deliver an ambitious 95 billion euros investment target in 2025. We are mobilizing public and private financing with two keywords in mind: competitiveness and security, which I have already mentioned throughout my presentation. And during 2025, we will roll out initiatives aligned with the strategic priorities of the new European Commission, including the 60% green finance target, boosting support to leading technologies, including clean tech, artificial intelligence, chips, high performance and quantum computing, health sciences, and Europe's cutting-edge industrial capacity. Europe is a trade and innovation powerhouse. We are second to none when it comes to research facilities and universities. We have a vibrant ecosystem of startups. So with the right financing at the right time and a more integrated market, we can help ensure that this talent is scaled up, that innovation is scaled up, and that companies that are born in the EU can remain, grow, and prosper also in Europe. And that is why we are working together with the European Commission and the member states on instruments to finance the whole cycle of businesses and innovation, from nurturing startups, helping them grow, to an exit platform to facilitate the listing of European companies in European markets, or the acquisition of these successful companies by other European companies. And this Capital Markets Union workstream includes the extension of the highly successful European Tech Champions Initiative that I already mentioned, which will complete its investments, its initial capital allocation in 2025. As part of a broader goal to boost higher risk investments through equity and quasi-equity, so that's venture debt investment, to scale up Europe's innovative companies. We expect to further double annual investments in the EU's security and defense industry to a record 2 billion euros. We also expect investments in critical raw materials to double in the coming years. Building on the 3 billion euro facility to support agriculture and the broader economy, we're also exploring support to a pan-European insurance mechanism and other de-risking schemes. We are also working on a 2.5 billion euro program to scale up energy efficiency for Europe's small and medium-sized companies so they can lower their CO2 emissions and their electricity bills. We're working on a dedicated water program of around 4.5 billion euros to focus investment in flood resilience and to address water scarcity and intensifying droughts in Europe. We're working with the European Commission on a pan-European investment platform for affordable and sustainable housing. And we are, of course, focusing our strategies outside the EU to reinforce our alliances and partnerships around the world with a revamped strategy for EIB Global in line with Europe's priorities and, as I was saying, a sharpened focus on impact. Let me close in a nutshell to indicate that the EIB Group is ready to play an even more relevant role in 2025, contributing to the integration of our markets from energy to telecoms and capital, and mobilizing investment. We are a capital market union instrument, issuing bonds under a European signature to channel savings into pan-European investments, responding to common priorities. And therefore, we have been engaging since day one with the new European Commission to support its initiatives, from the competitiveness compass that was published just this week to the forthcoming omnibus bill that aims to simplify and streamline EU rules and regulations, especially when it comes to rules and regulations and reporting requirements. We need to make sure that our regulatory framework incentivizes green investments and makes the green transition a European success. We have every reason to be confident. I am. This was very much the message sent yesterday by Presidents von der Leyen and Costa. Our unity is our strength. And the EIB Group, which is a true success story of European unity, will continue to finance projects that make a difference on the ground for our citizens, our businesses, for a stronger Europe in a more prosperous, more sustainable, more peaceful world. Thank you very much. I'm ready to take your questions and looking forward. Thank you.
Thank you very much, President. We're going to questions now. We're starting here. Please do introduce yourselves when you ask the question. Yeah, starting here.
Jarno Hartikainen, Helsingin Sanomat. Question on security and defense. So March last year, 14 heads of states asked for the expansion of EIB mandate, the mandate to be expanded from dual-use products to investments that serve purely military needs, so ammunition, tanks, whatever. This, although almost a year has passed and this has not happened, why is that? And personally, as the head of the institution, how do you are you willing to finance investment that serve purely military needs if this is the wish of the member states? Thank you.
Well, thank you very much for that question. I welcome the very strong support that we're getting from leaders throughout the whole EU for our approach in security and defense. And we are following the mandate from the prime ministers and heads of state to step up the EIB's support to Europe's security and defense industry while safeguarding our financing capacity. I am happy to report that only last week in a public event, I got a very strong support and a very positive message from the Belgian Prime Minister and the Secretary General of NATO, fully supporting the approach of the EIB group. Last year, we extended significantly our eligibilities. I mentioned already the sort of projects that we can and we are already financing, from the reinforcement of a port in Denmark so that NATO ships can come in, to satellite projects in Poland, Spain, in other countries. And we have launched a proactive roadshow. Let me say, this is the only area where the EIB is proactively launching a roadshow of the 27 member states to talk to defense ministries, to the financial sector, and to the industry to identify where are the market gaps and where the European Investment Bank can really make a difference. And that is why in December, we launched a new dedicated €1 billion facility to finance SMEs along the supply chain of Europe's defense constructors. And we are currently actually and constantly market testing with a view to see if any further alignment of adjustment of eligibilities would be needed. So in a nutshell, we are absolutely fulfilling the mandate from the heads of state and government to step up the EIB support to Europe's security and defense industry while safeguarding our financing capacity.
Sorry, Paula first, and then we go to that line.
Thank you, Paula Tamon, the FT. Will you exclude changing the EIB's lending mandate to core defense project? Thanks.
Thank you very much. As I already indicated, we are fulfilling the mandate through stepping up our support to Europe's security and defense industry. Last year, we doubled our investments in security and defense to €1 billion. We expect this number to double in 2025. We are currently assessing 14 projects, which we expect to be approved in the coming months. The European Investment Fund is also engaging with different investment funds which are dedicated to the area of security and defense. And we will continue with a constant market test to identify where are the market needs and how the European Investment Bank Group can make a difference.
Yeah. Okay, can we continue there, please?
Thank you, Jan Diskeldorf for Süddeutsche Zeitung. You have doubled your defense and security spending to 1 billion. You are going to double it this year to 2 billion. We're floating around, or ideas are being floated around about a 500 billion defense fund. The financing needs are immense. Looking at Germany alone, matching the NATO spending target means 75 billion a year. So why should we believe that this is a high level of ambition, spending 2 billion on defense?
Well, as I was saying a moment ago, last year, we conducted a very extensive roadshow I mean, I have here the competent vice president responsible for the roadshow. Did you go to 15 countries, 17 countries? 15 countries, 17 countries. I think end of the year was 15, and you have done maybe a couple more this year. So we have gone to all member states that have subscribed to the letter your colleague was referring to a moment ago. We have engaged with the ministries, we have engaged with the finance sector and with the industry to actually foster the pipeline of projects. And this proactive strategy of the EIB group is already showing a positive result in that we have a robust pipeline of 14 projects that we're currently assessing, and we hope to be approved in the coming months. I want to be very clear: we are not a defense ministry. We are Europe's investment bank, and we are fulfilling our mandate with a very proactive approach. This is the only sector where the EIB group has taken this extremely proactive approach, constant market testing and identifying where are the needs, where the European Investment Bank Group can make a difference.
Okay, there was a question back there. I have to hop to the microphone, I'm afraid.
Hi, my name is Matthijs Schiffers, het Financiële Dagblad. I have a question about affordable housing. How much of the 95 billion that you're planning to invest in 2025 is reserved for this category? And I also have a question about the taxonomy and the green asset ratio. There's a lot to do about this. You want to be a climate bank. If I'm right, the green asset ratio would only be 1% for the EIB. At least I've read something like that in the FT, I think. Have you published GER, the green asset ratio, in your results? I haven't seen that yet. And have you seen anything in the Compass proposal yesterday that addresses your issues with this green asset ratio? Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think for the detailed questions on the different areas, I would encourage you to engage afterwards with the vice presidents and the DGs that can give you more detail on housing. We're currently working with the European Commission on how to reinforce our support to Europe's housing market, trying to ensure that we support investment into affordable, sustainable, and also social housing. Of course, we are already quite active in this area, and we expect to increase our investments. I think we can give you the details afterwards if I may ask colleagues to then engage with this journalist afterwards. Then thank you very much for your question on green reporting. I think there is a unanimous call for ensuring that our rules and regulations, our transparency requirements, foster green investments. As the climate bank, we really want to have a regulatory framework that encourages green investments inside the union, outside the union, support to also the public sector conducting these green investments. There is a unanimous call for a recalibration of existing rules and regulations as reflected in the letter that we submitted together with the national promotional banks, the largest European national promotional banks, which has given the Commission concrete proposals so that there are adjustments and that the detailed regulations are recalibrated with a view to making sure that they encourage these green investments. And I look forward to the simplification omnibus that will come end of February, I think. We are engaging constructively with the European Commission to make sure that these detailed rules and regulations are fit for purpose, fit for purpose to make sure that we achieve the goals of the green transition and that we make the green transition a European success.
There's a question back there, and then here, and then there. And then we go.
Sabina Rosetta, ANSA, thanks for the floor. I'm terribly sorry, but I may have not understood your answer. Do you think there is a possibility to change the mandate in investing in core defense project? Thank you.
Thank you very much for repeating the question 3 times. And so that allows me to repeat that since last year, the European Investment Bank Group has taken a very proactive and ambitious stance to stepping up its support to Europe's security and defense industry while safeguarding our financing capacity. And that is why we significantly extended our eligibilities for investment 1st of May last year, so that now we can finance border protection, military mobility, military buildings and equipment, demining, decontamination, space, anti-jammers, quantum technologies, etc. Last year, we doubled investments to 1 billion euros. We expect to double it to 2 billion euros in the current year. There are 14 projects which are currently being assessed in the areas of cybersecurity, if I remember well, quantum computing, space, and civil protection. And we are conducting a constant market test to identify what are the needs. This is what led us last December to launch a 1 billion euro dedicated facility to provide finance to the SMEs in the pipeline, in the supply chain of Europe's large security and defense contractors. And we are currently doing this market test to see if there are further adjustments needed to our eligibility rules, so that we make sure that we have a good understanding of what are the market needs and where the European Investment Bank Group can make a difference.
Continue left to right. There was a hand there. No?
From the Spanish news agency EFE. On simplification, what is the EIB exactly expecting from the omnibus proposal? Some organizations fear that a simplification actually lead to deregulation that would actually harm the Green Deal objectives. What's your take on that? And a question on Spain, if I may, and apologies if the figure have already been published, but could you tell us how much of the investment of 2024 went to Spain and how it features among all the other countries? Thank you.
As I mentioned a moment ago, there is, I think, unanimous, a total consensus on the need to simplify the rules and reduce red tape in Europe, including in the area of green reporting standards and rules and regulations. I think we have every interest to ensure that these rules are recalibrated so that they are fit for purpose and they encourage green investments inside and outside the EU, while, of course, preserving and making sure that we achieve the goals of the Green Deal. And the proposals that we have submitted together with the largest European national promotional banks are going in this direction, to recalibrate the detailed rules and requirements and reporting requirements, while reinforcing our commitment to achieving the objectives of the green transition and making the green transition a European success. As I said in my introductory remarks, climate and competitiveness are 2 elements of a winning tandem for Europe. And so we need to make sure that our rules and regulations are fit for purpose. Let me just give you an example, maybe also to reply to a previous colleague that had posed a question. Let me give you an example of why these current rules and reporting requirements do not respond to the business model of national promotional banks and the European Investment Bank. They exclude financing to sovereigns, financing to SMEs, and financing outside the Union. You have just heard my presentation of what are the activities of the European Investment Bank in 2024. So we need to make sure that indicators, reporting requirements, etc., do reflect actual green investments that are supported by the financial sector. We need to create the incentives for green finance. And maybe a final word also on reporting. Let me tell you, the European Investment Bank is subject to the highest standards when it comes to green reporting. We do extensive reporting. I would really invite you to engage with my colleagues here that can give you details and direct you towards the detailed reports that we publish in this regard. And our numbers are audited by an independent top rating agency. So that's also, I think, a sign of our very strong commitment to consolidating our role as the climate bank. Y con respecto a su pregunta sobre los resultados o la actividad del Banco Europeo de Inversiones en España, vamos a organizar una presentación dedicada en Madrid el día 17 de febrero. 19 de febrero, así que les invito al cuerpo de periodistas españoles a asistir a esa presentación dedicada en Madrid, pero ya le puedo adelantar que el año pasado el Banco Europeo de Inversiones logró un récord de inversiones en España con 12.300 millones de euros invertidos en nuestro país, contribuyendo a consolidarlo como el país de las renovables y apoyando todos aquellos proyectos que aumentan la productividad y la competitividad, por supuesto, de la economía. Pero I think the detailed numbers will be circulated today now to all of you, so we can get into the details and you can ask the questions after this press conference. Thank you.
We're gently coming to close to the end of the time. The gentleman in a green jacket, and then you. That's all right. And
hello, thank you. Beda Romano, Il Sole 24 Ore. You discussed about defense and you mentioned the fact that you need to preserve the stability of the bank. You also said that you would be spending twice as much this year compared to last year. Do you have targets in mind of how much you can spend in defense without putting at risk the mandate?